Hello and welcome to the video on device collections within SCCM. Okay, so let's get started. When you open the console, you will notice in the left you will have device collections, devices, users, and user collections. User collections may be used in the future, but as for now, this video will mostly concentrate on device collections, although the same rules for creation apply to user collections as well. Okay, so if we open up device collections here, we notice that there are several different folder structures. You see an ITIS, an ENG, and a CDIB. These right now are the people that are using SCCM. As your group is added, you will also get a folder structure that is either your OU or your domain, depending on if you're in ad.uab.edu or if you're off domain. And you have the right to create folders within these folders. I will tell you that we cannot do security on these folders, so if you create a folder in the wrong place, you'll just have to delete it yourself. But the good news is if a folder is being used by anyone else, you are not actually able to delete it if there are collections inside the folder. So that is good news. So you more than likely will not accidentally mess anything up. So as you can see, we have different folder structures for ours, and you might want to do the same thing. It makes it easy. What you will notice, though, is that what will be the first thing that shows up is you will have your folder, and then you will have one collection inside that folder that we have made for you called your OU-all. Ours was ITIS-all. This is going to have every machine that you have that belongs to you that's discovered by SCCM. Now, when I say discovered by SCCM, if you're on the Campus Active Directory, it will be discovered for you, and it will be put in there by your OU. Whether there's a client on the machine or not, it will be dumped in there. We also have rules for these collections that, as you can see, will have to do with device type. So we also have Linux machines in there and Macs, depending on how your OU is structured and on how whether or not you have Macs in the domain or where your Linux boxes are located. We will create rules for that will automatically dump all those machines in there once they have clients. If it's a Windows machine and you're on the domain, they will be in that group whether they have clients installed or not. If it's Linux and Mac, or if it's off the domain, they will be put in there as they have clients installed and they're discovered by SCCM. So let's go to creating collections. Okay, basically, in collection creation, you normally will go to the folder in which you want to create a collection. So if you want to create a folder first, you would just do create folder. You can also, once you've created collections, move those collections into folders. You can move them around as necessary. Does not delete them unless you right click and delete and say delete device collection. And if you do that, remember that you're going to want to select do not delete members of this collection. You're just going to want to delete the actual device collection because it will ask you that question. Let's go look at the properties of some collections because you're going to need to know the properties on these collections. So I'm just going to pick one that I have access to, and it's going to bring up the properties. Okay. General, obviously you have the name here of what you're going to name it. Now, anything that you do in SCCM, we ask that you put your OU or group name in front of it. So like we have ITIS- something for our collection names. The reason we ask this is everything in the SCCM database has to be unique. Every name has to be unique. So if you just were to name a collection testing, you might not have a collection that's just named testing, but somebody else might. And even though you may not be able to see someone else's collection that's named testing, it's still going to tell you can't create that collection name. So just make sure that you put your OU in front of it, like we've put ITIS here, so that it designates that this is your OU and your collection. In that way, it will make it unique in the database. Now, on limiting collections, let me explain the limiting collection philosophy. Basically, how that works is it will process and say, members of this collection don't exist until they're members of this collection first. So if you were to have, for instance, if you were to have a machine where you were looking for all Windows 7 laptops, and let's say you already had a EuroU-Windows 7 collection, well, instead of just making all that logic to pull out laptops and Windows 7 computers, you would just make the limiting collection the Windows 7 computers, where it would mean that nothing gets processed unless it's a member of that collection first. So anything would have to also be a member of that collection. So basically with this one, nothing gets added unless it's a member of the ITIS-all collection. Now, most of your things that you make will be limited to this collection because this is your top level collection. This is the highest level that you have. So everything you have is a member of this collection. Alright, for membership rules, I will go over the several different types of rules. You have direct rules, you have query rules, include and exclude collections rules. A direct rule basically is you're adding a machine directly, a device directly to this collection. Now, what I normally do is I normally do not use that rule there. I normally will just open another collection. If I want to add, let's say I want to add this machine to another device collection, I would just add selected items and add selected items to an existing device collection, or you can make a new device collection. But basically, that is what the direct membership rule does. So then what would happen is then after you did that, you would go to that collection and you would notice that there's a direct membership rule that's got that device name in it. See, these machines are already a member of these, and that's how I did those. On query rules basically let you query via WQL, which translates into will translate into a SQL query, where you can query different machines based on their attributes, based on hardware, based on pretty much anything that's discovered by SCCM. Include collections means basically that you're going to include an entire collection membership into this collection. So you would include another collection, and all members of that collection would be added to this new collection you've created. Exclude collections basically means that no members of this collection can be in this new one. So in these this is processed in order. So include collections are processed before exclude. So if you have a collection that includes several different collections, what you're going to notice is if you have an include and exclude rule, the exclude rule wins. So if you have collections that include certain members that are also in another collection that you're excluding, those members will not be included in your new collection. So and that's just the way it's going to work. And the way that is, it is useful. We use it some, and you will find that it may be useful for you as well. Now let's talk about how collections update. You have use incremental updates for this collection. You have schedule a full update on this collection. Incremental basically means that it validates the membership rules periodically. We recommend not using this unless you have to. SCCM does not have a hard rule of 250 incrementally updated collections, but it's a kind of a soft rule. Basically, the collections do not run at the same time. The updates do not run at the same time. So what ends up happening is that if you have over 250 collections that are updating, by the time it got to that end of its list of incrementally updating all 250 collections, it might actually start over before it gets to the end of the list. So it's just a little quirk of SCCM. Your top level collection, your OU-all collection, is going to be incrementally updated because we want that one updated as soon as possible. As soon as a new machine is added, as soon as a new machine is added to the domain, we want that updated. So that will be set for that collection. So, but we ask if at all possible you do schedule a full update on this collection. That really should work fine for almost everything because you can down it all the way to hours and minutes. Normally, once an hour is as quick as you're going to need it to go. Once a day for a lot of collections, depending on what they're doing, is fine. But you can set a custom interval here. And for some collections, like this collection, this is a manually populated collection. So this collection will never have automatic membership rules, so you just leave those unchecked for those, because you don't need them to update ever. You will just manually be adding machines to it. One last thing to remember when updating collection memberships: do not set the time for a full update to any less than it needs to be. This can cause performance issues with the SCCM database. So if it doesn't need to be minutes, don't set it to minutes. Also, if you do need to immediately update membership of a collection, you can right-click the collection itself and do Update Membership, and that will evaluate its membership rules immediately. Okay, so now under Power Management, there is the ability to do power management in SCCM. We aren't using that at the moment, but it is possible that you can apply power management settings for your collections. Under the Deployment tab, this will show you what is deployed to this collection. For instance, this one has a software called Disable IPv6 deployed to it. So it'll show you everything here that's deployed to that collection. Okay, on maintenance windows, let me explain maintenance windows. That's a big deal. For creating maintenance windows, basically maintenance window is a time of day or during the month. As you can see, you can set different intervals where maintenance can be done to the machine. This includes software updates, software installs, and computer restarts. Now, that does not mean that you do not have the ability to override a maintenance window for deployments, because you do, but I will show you that in a later video. But this is a safe way to keep things from accidentally being deployed during work hours. We use these on all our servers to make sure that our machines do not reboot until we want them to. So you, again, when you name the maintenance window, I would again use your OU name for everything dash whatever you want to call it. I would not suggest using coordinated universal time, just because that becomes confusing, because it'll add 6 hours, and to me it's a little confusing. So use the client local time. This will use client local time if you don't check that. The only time that is a problem is if your clients aren't coordinated with a time server or aren't set to the right time zone. Then the deployment will be early for them, or the maintenance window will be earlier for them than what you actually wanted. And as you can see, you can set the frequency. You can also set what it applies to. All deployments means every single thing that is deployed to this, whether it's software updates or packages or applications, they will not apply until this maintenance window, unless you override it, which you can do, and again, I'll show you that later. Software updates means only for OS updates that are deployed. You can set maintenance windows just for that. And task sequences are not really going to be used a whole lot unless you're doing operating system deployment, at least not for now. In the future, possibly. But you can set it for just task sequences if you want as well. For collection variables, this is again for task sequences. Again, this might be used in the future. Your out-of-band management, not even going to be used. Distribution point groups. This you really don't have access to at the moment. If that changes and we need to do some training on distribution points, then we will do so. Security doesn't really need to be looked at a whole lot. You will see stuff on here you don't recognize. These are our admin accounts and things that have access to everything. Under alerts, if you want to view this collection in Endpoint Protection Dashboard, this is where you set that. You don't have the ability to add alerts at the moment, but you will in the future. So that is pretty much the overview of collections. When creating a device collection, you want to browse to the folder in which you want to place the device collection and right-click and do Create Device Collection. As you can see, you need to name it, and you will need to name it via your OU dash whatever you want to call it. You'll need to select your limiting collection, which, as we said, can be pretty much anything you want, but more than likely will be your all collection. So we're just going to name this ITIS Tester 1. Okay. Then you'll set, then you'll hit next. Again, this is where you will add your membership rules, where you can do the direct, the query rule, the include collections, and exclude collections rule. So we're going to probably, more than likely, you will use direct and query rules more than anything. And then for using incremental updates for this collection, remember what we talked about with the incremental updates. And for scheduling updates on this collection, I'm going to have no members of this one. It's going to not have membership rules, so it'll give you that error, but it's okay. And then you'll just go hit next, and it'll make a new one. Okay, now let's go on creating, basically doing queries for the collections. So we'll go back and open that collection again. Alright, membership rules. Let's go do a query rule. Okay, basically, here's where you'll make query rules. It uses, as it says Configuration Manager 2012 uses the Windows Management Instrumentation to be my query language to query the site database. So this is where you'll name your query, and I normally just name it what the collection I'm using the query for. So you would just name it something, but make sure you have the OU name in it. Then I'm going to edit the query statement, and as you can see, you can add just a general query, which would be querying all of something. So under system resource, which is what you normally will use, you can see all these attribute classes. There are tons of them. TechNet provides good explanation of these, and you can look up most of these and what they do and how these are collected. But most of the time you'll use system resource, which comes heavily from WMI, and that's normally what you will use for collections most of the time, because it also has Active Directory stuff in it. So this example I'm going to do is just making a collection based on system OU name, what OU name the system is in. So I normally will leave the alias, as you can see, just no alias, and then I'll leave it unsorted. Under criteria, this is where you do more of the actual selections, where you set the variables that are selected. So you'll open that, and as you can see, simple value normally is what you're going to leave it as. There's other options, but for this one, it's going to be simple value. And where, again, is going to be system resource. And then attribute is going to be system OU name. Okay, and then as you can see, the operator, there's a whole lot of operators, as in lowercase, uppercase, is like, is not like, is less than, is greater than, equal to. As you can see, there are a lot of them. If you know the exact value, you can type it in, but I normally will use the value button, and then what it will show you is everything that's been discovered that you have rights to use. So as you can see, if I wanted everything that was a member of the terminal servers group, I would then just have that. And so as you can see, then it's, basically you can also show the query language. If you end up where you are comfortable using the query language and you want to write it manually, that's fine. You can dump it in here. I normally use the designer because it's much simpler for me to use that. If you have a query that's going to have more than one attribute that it's searching for, you can just add another one. And again, you're not going to have one that's member of two OUs because that's not really going to be possible. But for the sake of using this, to showing you this example, we'll go ahead and add it. So yeah, we'll add the simple value, and we'll go to system resource. System OU name. And we'll make get another one. And we'll hit OK. And as you can see, you have these identifiers here of and. You can use these buttons up here to change that to or. You can also add, you can also delete parts of it. You can add parentheses, and then as you see, showing your query language. It's pretty much endless. If you know how to use joins, you can write your joins here as well, and they'll be automatically added as you add criteria. And again, this is like a general query here if you want to show all systems with their system OU name. So you can use this part here for general stuff. If you don't have anything general and you're just doing specific criteria, you can just go here and start here under the criteria. It's really endless on how you can do it. It just will take some practice. You're not really going to hurt it by adding things. You're not hurting machines by doing this. So just experiment with it. I'm going to cancel these because I definitely don't want to save these. But that's pretty much it on making collections. Again, any questions you have, you can email the help desk at askit.uab.edu, and that will come to us, the SCCM admins, and we will be happy to help you. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks.